The 39th Pursuit Squadron came into being on paper on the 22nd of December, 1939, and was activated on February 1, 1940. In early 1941, the 39th Squadron was chosen to receive the first of the new Bell P-39 Air Cobras rolling off the assembly line. After a Bell Company artist designed and painted the Cobra in the Clouds logo, Congress passed legislation officially making the 39th Squadron the Cobra Squadron. In April 1941, pilots Robert Farrow, Jake Wilson, and Donald J. Green were chosen to serve as observers in the Battle of Britain. While in Europe, they did not just observe, but also flew both Spitfires and Hurricanes in combat missions with the Polish wing of the Royal Air Force. Later that same year, the 39th Squadron was moved from Selfridge Field, Michigan, to their new post at Bear Field, Indiana. Upon arriving at Bear Field on December 6, 1941, many of the pilots and personnel immediately went on leave. Some visited sweethearts in the area, others visited family. Pilot Jack Jones even went to attend a friend's wedding. On December 7th, everyone was recalled to base, and orders came to move the entire 31st Pursuit Group to the West Coast. The country was now at war. Over the next several weeks, the 39th would fly between Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, and California. At March Army Air Base near Riverside, California, the 39th Squadron and her sister squadrons, the 40th and 41st, spent several days flying patrols, searching for Japanese ships, subs, and planes. Together, these three squadrons made up the 31st Pursuit Group, and together had around 75 P-39s. The entire 31st Pursuit Group would eventually be folded into the West Coast Air Defense Force. The 31st Pursuit Group was then tasked with setting up the Northwest U.S. Air Defense Sector at Payne Field in Everett, Washington. Their purpose was to patrol the northwest coastal areas of the U.S. and Canada. As part of this venture, the 39th Squadron was to be stationed at the recently constructed airfield in Bellingham, Washington. Traveling from California, bad weather forced the squadron to fly an indirect route through Nevada, Idaho, and Oregon before arriving in Everett, Washington. Because the Bellingham airfield was not ready to accommodate the entire 39th Squadron, only the B and C flights initially flew to Bellingham, with the rest meant to follow once there was more room. However, when the first members of the 39th Squadron arrived in Bellingham on December 25, 1941, they were informed that construction at the airfield had been suspended indefinitely, and that what they saw was what they were going to get. Upon arrival, the officers of the 39th Squadron were taken to the Bellingham Hotel, where they received a warm welcome from hotel staff and city leaders. The officers and senior non-commissioned officers were to stay at the hotel, while other personnel were to stay at either the airfield or the local high school gym. The people of Bellingham rose to the occasion and welcomed the members of the 39th into their hearts and homes and gave the pilots an actual Christmas. Donald J. Green remembers,
"The wonderful people of Bellingham turned out in force and opened their arms to us bedraggled pilots during all the time we were in their fair city. We had rooms and meals at the Bellingham Hotel under the loving care of John O'Rourke and his delightful wife."
For the next several months, the 39th Squadron flew patrols out of Bellingham looking for Japanese subs and ships off the west coast. On February 15, 1942, the 39th received orders to pack up and move back to California. Once there, they would commence the 25-day journey across the ocean to Brisbane, Australia, and into combat in the Pacific. Of all the pilots of the 39th stationed in Bellingham, only 6 would survive the war. All were heroes and served their country with honor. However, there is one pilot that set the standard for the 39th's fighting spirit. Robert Farreau fought off jungle disease and the fatigue of an arduous operational tour while encouraging other members of the squadron to new limits of endurance.